This video is brought to you by Ride Bicycles Bike Shop in Issaquah and Seattle. Use code TRAIL online or in-store to get 10% off most products. Onto the bike for today's review. This is the 2021 Rocky Mountain Altitude Carbon 90 Rally Edition full suspension mountain bike. Being from Rocky's Enduro category, this bike is not here to mess around. According to Rocky Mountain, the Altitude is built for demolishing steep terrain and making every ride faster. Enduro MTB magazine also called this the best enduro bike of 2021. Now, is this statement true and do I agree with this bike's hype? Well, we'll dive into that in this video. The Altitude is a long travel bike from Rocky's lineup with 170mm of suspension travel in the front and 160mm in the rear. While the size small only offers a 27 5-inch wheel, the medium offers your choice of either 27.5 or the slightly larger and faster 29ers, and the large and extra large offer only 29ers. The color for this model is a black with a red-orange accent and logo color, but the new one is tan with a navy green second color. This size medium we tested weighs about 31.5 pounds with pedals, which is really light for a long travel bike. The Alloy 30 Altitude, for reference, weighs 34 pounds with pedals. Let's go over some of the numbers, even though I strongly believe that numbers don't determine a good bike. The Rocky Mountain Altitude uses the very adjustable Ride 9 system. I won't go into too much detail, but essentially what this does is allow you to ride with only Allen keys and quickly adjust your geometry to 9 different possible positions. There's some really good videos I've linked down below that cover what setup is best for you and how to use it. The seat tube angle varies based on the position, but the range is in the mid to upper 70s. The wheelbase for the medium is 1200mm flat, complementing a reach ranging from 449 to 461 on the medium. The chainstay length ranges anywhere from 427 all the way up to 437mm. This is really cool because it allows you to adjust your bike's playfulness, efficiency, and get it dialed in for your riding style. The head tube angle also varies greatly. In the slackest position, the angle is measured at 64.4, while it goes all the way up to a 65.5 in position 9. Let's quickly go over some of the components that come with this top-of-the-line build. With the carbon frame from Rocky Mountain, the fork on this Rally Edition is a 170mm Fox 38 with a 37mm offset on the 27 5-inch wheel size. If you were to get a 29er, it would be a 44mm offset. The shock is a Fox Float X2 with 160mm of travel. The Kashima coating of both the fork and the shock make it match really well with the secondary color. I mean, this bike looks sweet. Moving on to the group set, everything is Shimano XTR, the top-of-the-line cable shifting which would be expected on this bike. The brakes are the XTR 4-piston brakes with 203mm rotors front and rear. These large rotors are for sure to give the highest quality and strongest stopping power. The shifter and derailleur are also both the top-spec 12-speed XTR. So one feature that really stood out to me was the ability to double downshift with the XTR shifter. Now this feature is great because it allows you to just drop gears and get into that ideal one really quickly. This is definitely a feature you'd only appreciate once you have it for a while. Next up, the wheels, which are Raceface Turbine Rs with aluminum rims attached to Raceface Vault hubs. For the price of over $9,000 though, I would certainly expect carbon rims to be an option, but I guess Rocky Mountain wanted to prioritize some other things such as Ride 9 and XTR. For the tires, the bike comes stock with Maxxis Minion DHF and DHR2 tires. A lot of enduro bikes come with these, but I don't see many that come with the double down casing. This is important to look at because it really tells you what the bike is meant for, plowing through rough terrain and keeping speed efficiently. The double down tires are a great addition to a stock build and I'm pretty impressed, but they do roll fairly slowly and wear easily. The seat post is also Raceface. The Turbine R dropper comes with 125mm travel for size small, 150 for medium, and 175 for large and XL. The handlebars are the Raceface Next R Carbon with 780mm stock width. I think we've established that this bike has great high-end parts, but we still need to test it in my 3 favorite categories. First is climbing, then technical trails, and then finally freeride. Starting with climbing, our tester noticed a few things when riding. While it's certainly not the best climbing mountain bike, it does ride pretty well uphill for the amount of travel it has. There's no specific seat tube angle due to the Ride 9 system, but it puts you in a comfortable position for ascending up your favorite trail system. Since the tested version was also a medium with 27 5-inch wheels as opposed to the 29, we were losing a little bit of efficiency during the climbs. Make sure you always use the climb switch on the shock for a better experience. The bike does hold amazing traction though when climbing either a single track trail or in tight corners or switchbacks. If you give rider input and act as a driver instead of a passenger, this bike will accelerate and allow you to go really fast uphill. It just needs that good amount of driving force to do so. When testing a bike's climbing ability, we're lucky to have Washington State as a place to do that. We have climbs that vary in length and steepness, so it really gives us a great range of how the bike handles on all sorts of climbs. The Altitude does handle long, steep fire roads well with that steep C-tube angle, but it may not be the most efficient for gradual climbs. Overall, I think the bike is somewhere in the middle. Nothing really jumps out as awesome in climbing, but it's certainly not bad either. Now for the main portion of the test, and what the bike is actually meant for, technical descents. If you watch my video about the Norco site, you know I mentioned how the bike is planted at first but then becomes playful with rider input and aggressive riding. This bike is kind of similar. The Altitude is very planted and gives you confidence as a rider to keep on going faster. If you see a rock on the side of the trail though, it isn't the bike that makes you necessarily want to pop off of it and ride playfully. That territory belongs toward shorter travel bikes with a few exceptions. With the Rocky's Ride 9 system, tunability is where it really shines. The suspension that comes with the stock build is already very adjustable. Add that on to the fact that this frame is one of the most tunable frames you can find on the market right now. If you want to spend hours dialing your bike in to plow through chunky terrain better, it's a good choice. While it's not the most playful and requires sufficient rider input, the bike does have stability and weight on its side. The lightweight 31.5 pounds makes it easy to handle, and the bike is very stable all around. As I said earlier, it really allows for you to push your limits and still feel comfortable. If you like to ride technical trails, then this bike will be fun, but I can't say it's well-rounded. Our tester for this video really likes to ride tech trails with some gnarly chutes, roots, and rocks, which is why it should come as no surprise that he really enjoys riding it and describes it as a fun bike. Over small bumps or brake bumps at a bike park, the bike handles very well and has good small bump sensitivity. Going back to the double down casing tires from Maxxis, they really do a good job at giving you the highest quality puncture resistance while still giving you good traction on steeper lines. The tires really do make this bike confidence inspiring. The XTR brakes also contribute to having a powerful and reliable braking system at all times on the trail. It's evident that Rocky Mountain wanted to create a bike that was an enduro monster, and I think it's fair to say the Altitude achieves it. If you're looking for a bike that excels when the rider pushes their limits, this bike might be a good option for you. Not only does the adjustable frame and suspension allow you to get a perfectly dialed ride, but the bike handles technical terrain very well. Next up, let's quickly dive into the Freeride category. This one is kind of interesting. On flow trails, the bike wasn't jumping out as playful and didn't excel at being thrown around. Once our tester gave a little more pop and input to the bike though, it began to come alive. If you're a rider like me though who wants to ride jumps, corners, and flow with a bike that's naturally playful, this wouldn't be the best option. The one-word description of the Altitude was planted, so it's obvious that it doesn't gear towards big jumps or bike park flow trails. The Max Grip compound with double down casings really doesn't make the bike feel playful and poppy. On tighter corners though, it does kind of feel snappy, but that's with the chainstay length in the short position. So who is this bike exactly meant for? Personally, I think they designed it for somebody who wants to go fast and race enduro and downhill. And that's definitely what I agree with who this bike is for. Rocky's goal to create an enduro monster was definitely achieved, and it's reflected strongly with their build. That's all for the bike, and I hope you found this review informative, helpful, or at least entertaining. I'd like to spend a minute talking about my new channel sponsor, which is Ride Bicycle's Bike Shop. Now, I'm super stoked that they're supporting doing what I love, and you all can use my code TRAIL in all caps to get 10% off most of the products we sell. Now, what does it mean for the channel, though? Well, it really only means good things. I get to review sweet bikes like this one, and it's just overall a great experience. A huge thanks goes out to them for supporting what I love. That's all for today's video, and I'll see you next time.